blanket stitch is a nice decorative stitch that makes your edges look pretty, as well as it being a nice secure stitch. It was traditionally used on the edges of blankets, hence the name, but it is now used in many ways like these cute felt toys. So first of all, grab your pieces of fabric and your threaded needle. Make sure that you have tied a knot at the end of your thread. We're first going to hide that knot between the layers of fabric. So I've got my 2 layers here. Poke your needle up through the back of the top layer of your fabric and pull it through. So now my knot is in between layers. Then, coming through the back, we're going to poke our needle from the back to the front through both layers. And we're going to come up right through that exact same spot that we used before. And we'll pull through. Now, before we pull tightly, you'll see that we've formed a little loop here. We want to poke our needle through that loop, and that is the trick to the blanket stitch, so bear that in mind. And we'll pull tightly. With the blanket stitch, you will always come from the same direction. In this case, we will be coming in from the back to the front. So, moving a stitch width forward, I'm going to poke my needle through both layers of fabric and pull it through. But before I pull it through tightly, I'm going to poke my needle through the loop from the front to the back and then pull. So I'm starting to form my first blanket stitch. Let's try that again. So moving a stitch width forward from the back to the front through both layers, I'm going to pull my thread through, and then before pulling tightly, poke my needle through the loop and pull tightly. Let's try that one more time. So I'm moving a stitch width forward, poke my needle from the back to the front through both layers, poke my needle through the loop, and I pull through and pull tightly. With the blanket stitch, it is visible, so you want to make sure that both the stitch widths and the depth are consistent. So that's the widths between stitches here and the depths, that vertical line. You want it all to be consistent. Continue making the stitches around the edge of your project. And that is how you do the blanket stitch.